Hey.
You have yourself muted.
I had myself muted?
There you go.
No.
How
Okay.
was I muted?
Not
no.
you.
I was being muted. I was being oppressed. Help. I'm being oppressed.
Oh, no.
Oh,
All I can think of, Wane. Every time I go, oh, no.
Oh, no.
I think of the Family Guy episode, like the Star Wars episode, when he's all, Wane. It's such a good episode, man.
All right. Hello and welcome to You Can't Sit With Us. I am Hexus Daemon. That's Akya Daemon. And Mother Dedamort. And tonight is our Halloween episode.
Woo woo.
That's why it's all spookles in the background.
Spoopy.
Spoopy.
It's the spoopy season.
Mm-hmm.
It is the spoopy season.
And we're talking medieval torture tonight.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yep. All right, just let everyone know in the comments. We will get to you when you pay us. It's gonna happen.
I mean, we would love for you to pay us.
Yeah, send us $1.
$1.
We actually probably wouldn't know what to do if you paid us.
Right?
What do we do now?
I got $1. I got $1.
I got $1. Hey.
This is our podcast side of the audio side of things, guys. So we get the comments when we can get to the comments.
But I do believe we need to say hi to everybody.
We do need to say hi to everyone.
So, hey, Shelby, how are you? Hey, Raven. I love that I've been seeing you around more.
I know. I have missed her.
Yep.
Definitely. Hey, Kisa. So, guys, part of this episode is actually Kisa's idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Pogo. And Mrs. Pogo.
It's going to get, for you guys that haven't been on one of these episodes where we talk about medieval torture devices, it's going to get yucky. So
yeah, I got some jokes lined up. It's all ready to go.
Wolfman,
baby
what's up? Hey, great to see you.
There might be a Ferrari in the garage, or some stuff like that. Who knows? Yep,
that was my joke.
Well,
Dizzy, what's up?
Dizzy, there. My mic sounds better there. It was turned too low.
Let's see. Hold on. You're screwed if you're waiting for me to do that. Yeah. That's cool. I have no money either, especially after paying as much money as I did on these animals lately. So, well, you know what? It's a celebration. Remember her happily. And
what did she say?
It's her grandmother's celebration of life on Sunday. Okay. So remember, it is a celebration of life. Remember all the good stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what I do like about celebrations of life as opposed to the funeral part. I
just like partying.
I want like a Louisiana parade, a New Orleans parade.
I just want to
celebrate the fact that I'm dead.
Funeral fire. Set me on fire.
I want to be burned at the stake. That's my goal in life.
I'm pretty sure my ancestors were. So,
definitely do not put me in a coffee table, please.
Yeah, let's not, especially people with 9 toes, I don't know, and creepy people staring at it. And
I could have swore I saw grandma's hair poking out of that resin.
Right?
You guys also got to watch out for when you guys go trick-or-treating. Was it Tuesday or is it Monday?
Tuesday.
Devil's Night Monday.
Tuesday. Devil's Night is Monday.
When you guys go trick-or-treating, guys, you got to watch out for Big Dick Randy, okay?
Big Dick Randy stole all your candy.
And he also doesn't take candy. He takes booty too.
Raven says, I've been working around this time. I shut my live sale show early and decided to do one later.
Awesome.
Well, we will go check it out. Yes, viewer discretion is advised, guys. And I will get to that.
Big fat viewer discretion advised, blinking in the corner continuously.
Listener discretion advised, guys. This is our audio side.
That's true. Whether you listen with your ears or your eyeballs, we know it's going to get bad.
The coffee tables.
I am a hardcore grammar Nazi. Watch all the ex-members take that snippet and they take out the grammar, and it's gonna be like, I am a hardcore Nazi.
All I need is that fucking clip. Fucking hell. No, you're not. Let you guys know.
I am, like I said, my goal is to be burned at the stake around 84. That's when I.
My skin is a little bit too dark in real life for that. So
I don't know.
I never listen. So Wolfman,
Sven, hello.
Happy birthday. I know it was like what, yesterday?
Oh, look what Sven has. I forgot to
The
do
Crimson Ghost.
No, it's not the Crimson Ghost. It's
It's not. I know.
it's
COD.
It's COD, but it's the kid who killed himself.
Richard? No, he hung himself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Richard hung himself.
No, there was a really bad situation recently.
On COD, the Inquisitor, that's his name.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
he was rad. He was such
so
a good
cool.
gamer. 23-year-old.
Some people screwed with him.
Mm.
And
They tried to get him canceled.
and
they faked a whole bunch of stuff with him. Basically, they were trying to say that he was he went after underage girls, and he was 23. And they luckily a whole bunch of TikTokers got the text messages, put him out there for the lives and all this other stuff, and you know, it saved his good name after the fact. But he ended up taking his own life on a TikTok live feed. Because
That's
they
so sad.
And this guy had like 400,000 followers. Like he was a huge like gamer, everything like that, personality, everything. And they tried to get him canceled for the sake of trying to get him canceled. That was the reason why. And he couldn't take the pressure. He couldn't. Yeah.
Die.
See, if I had that many followers and somebody started messing with me that much, that's when I would pull out my really expensive lawyers, and I wouldn't.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we have him on retainer. We're just waiting.
Well, I mean, I'm just a dick. I'll just go and troll the fuck out of everybody. Oh, all right. So we're talking torture tonight.
We are.
What do you want to start with?
Why don't we let Kisa choose?
Do you want to start with Kisa's?
Well, Kisa sent a few really cool ones,
Okay.
including the what?
I was gonna say, let's save Kisa's for a minute.
Okay.
Let's go and start. She sent us a list of stuff. Let's start with. You want to start with the brazen bull? I call it the brass bull.
Let's start with the brazen bull. I would like to say real quick, when we get to the wheel, I'd like to talk about the wheel.
Well, I was actually all queued up for
do you want
to the Judas cradle?
Well, let's do that. Let's start with yours.
Okay.
So the Judas cradle. To describe this, because you know this is a podcast, it's like a chair with a pyramid on top instead of a flat seat, and you were basically sat down on that.
The pointy end goes in your anus.
Yes. So basically, the Judas cradle was a pointed chair which victims were forced to squat on until their leg muscles gave out. And then they were slowly impaled right up the ass.
So have you ever seen the video online of the chick getting ready for porn? And she was sitting on a traffic cone. I'm making this up.
I was like, no, I have not.
I was shaking my head at what Sven said, which was dead but not forgotten. And he's over there going, you ever see these porn stars?
You ever seen this porn with the 2 cups and 1 girl or something like that?
2 cups and 1 girl and a cone, a traffic cone.
Oh. I'd watch it. I'm not gonna lie, but I'd probably watch it several times. That's just how I function.
I just go through the Museum of Death, you know, and stare at things. Honestly, there's just the weirdest things made me like go into tears this last time.
Really?
It's stuff that you would not expect. Like, okay, anything Holocaust will make me very like sad and emotional, especially a lot of the things that you get to see there. But puppy tails.
That's got to have a whole story behind it.
Mm-hmm. You guys got to go see the Museum of Death to be able to really understand it. But I will just say the puppy tail room got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look at all these really cool skulls. What the fuck is that?
And then I.
And why?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess theoretically dogs' tails get docked when they're puppies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what do people do with the tails?
They make keychains out of them?
I guess they go on display. I don't know. Like, it was
the Museum of Death buys them.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was just like, I don't like this part. After just looking at people like with parts of their head blown off and like decapitated and all these crazy things, the puppy tails got me.
Yeah.
Everything else, I was like, man, that sucks. Ooh, that's hard. Ooh, sad. Puppies.
Not the puppy tails.
And so again, guys, we are going to get to comments as we can. And so I'm leaving with, you know what? Let's end with Iron Maiden. Excellent. And that'll lead into what we're doing.
Yes.
Sorry, I was looking stuff up real fast.
All right. So basically, an innovation attributed to the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody
because no one ever. Exactly what you were about to say.
I fought in your general direction.
Nobody.
That was not a comfy chair.
No.
No one expects the triangle chair, and no one expects the Inquisition.
So,
whoa! What do you guys want me to sit on? Whoa!
Fuck you. So it's the Judas chair, known as the Judas cradle, or the
Judas cradle.
The guided cradle. That's that's a horrible name.
You want me to do what with what?
Where?
I want you to guide the cradle. Sir, that is a pyramid on top of a chair. That is not a cradle. Stick it in.
Who has to clean the cradle?
Well,
I don't think they do.
What they do is they make them fall like brushes, so that way when they pull them completely through, it's self-cleaning. Splits them in twain.
So it was a device that's dating from around the 16th century. Utilizing a simple design, the victim would be strapped atop the chair and forced to support themselves with their legs for an indefinite amount of time. Eventually, depending on the strength of the individual, the victim would be unable to maintain the required position any longer, and the pyramid tip of the chair would begin to impale their anus.
Their anus.
After enduring an agonizing rupturing of their anal cavity, the victim would then die unless released, which they never were.
Or unless they said, yes, daddy.
As noted, the length of time before an individual would be impaled varied significantly accordingly, depending on the whims of the torturer. Weights might have been added to the legs of the victims to hasten their demise.
Not all Judas cradles are made the same. There's a couple smaller ones and bigger ones.
Their hands and feet might be tied together to make balancing even harder, or they would even pour oil on the chair.
That would make it easier.
Oh God, if you slipped.
Yep. Several variations of the device existed, reflecting its use in a number of circumstances. Some designs used for the purpose of gaining information employed a pulley system with the individual strapped into a harness and repeatedly lowered onto the tip of the chair and then brought back up.
I'm reminded
just the tip.
Just the tip to prolong the suffering.
I'm reminded of that scene from Inglourious Bastards with the bear Jew. And he comes out and it's Eli Roth. And he just, smashes that one Nazi's head. And then they look over the other Nazi and he just dumped his guts. It was like, here, it's right here, it's right here, and it's right here, and right here. That gave away all his locations. I'm pretty sure that's what they did with this. They killed one person, and the other person just was like, okay, I'm going to tell you everything. This is fucked up.
Okay, well, now this has got to be my question. Okay, so of course, I guess nobody knows what they would do in that situation other than probably shit themselves. But um, I just don't see myself going along with this. In my brain, I would think if I just go batshit crazy and start attacking people, they'll just beat the shit out of me and it's done. I don't have to go through all this.
Right?
Well, this is the Dark Ages. I don't think you're done after they beat the shit out. I think they would say, okay, you're battered and bruised and you're not dead. We're still doing this.
For the record, I'm getting this information from historycollection.com, and this is actually the slowest historical torture methods that we can't believe living souls had to endure.
And they were usually, if you start looking into a lot of the reasoning for this, which I mean, I get that they seem extremely brutal for the offense, even though things were a lot different back then. I noticed a lot of times, if it wasn't like to get some sort of confession, it was as punishment for something as what we see as simple as thieving, those kind of things. But now theft back then could mean the demise of a complete community or family or village.
But it was even as simple as like stealing bread at certain points.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it depended on what municipality and area that you were or region you were living in, depending on the brutality.
He's
Oh,
always
yeah.
just an eighth of weed, man. What the fuck? Why am I having this pyramid go up my ass? I was just trying to get high.
I just asked for a piece of bread. Come on, man.
So, I think these are ones that you might want to talk about. There's being hung, drawn, and quartered.
You want me to talk about the one being hung? I could. That's.
And then there's also the breaking wheel. Do you want me to talk about the?
I want to do the breaking wheel.
Okay. Do you want to talk about being hung, drawn, and quartered?
Me?
Yes.
I can't see that far right now.
Okay. So to be hanged, drawn, and quartered was not merely a legal prescription for execution, but a
Prescription.
Yeah, it says that. But a carefully designed sequence of tortures with which to end a convicted person's life.
Jesus, think about this. I mean, like, this is how fucked up the Dark Ages is. Like, you have to go to the pharmacy to get your torture.
Oh my
in there.
God.
Like, you have to
I'm here for my torture prescription.
they just hand
What do you mean I only have 2 refills?
just will out a giant upside down pyramid that you're gonna like set on or something like that. Pineapple. It's still pineapple.
So another historic method of execution, which served as a form of torture in its own right, the punishment of being hung, drawn, and quartered, originated in England during the Middle Ages, instituted as the legal penalty for men convicted of high treason in 1352, although existing unofficially since the reign of Henry III. The condemned man would suffer a litany of successive violations, humiliations, and pains before his eventual death, starting with the dragging of the individual, fastened to a hurdle drawn by horses, from the site of imprisonment to their place of execution. Along the route, he would be pelted with rotten food and even shit by the public. Upon reaching the location, he would be hung almost to the moment of death, revived, castrated, disemboweled, before finally being beheaded. His body would subsequently be chopped into 4 pieces and displayed at prominent locales. With the practice gradually watered down due to public opposition to its brutality, it was eventually abolished entirely in 1870. During the American Revolutionary War, both loyalists and patriots were recorded as inflicting the punishment upon their opponents. The passage of the 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution in 1791 prohibited cruel and unusual punishments, which was a direct response to this wartime practice and an attempt to prevent any further applications in the fledgling nation.
Well, and it's surprising how long, like people always associate these types of tortures with like medieval times and the Dark Ages and all that kind of stuff, which they were extremely prevalent during, I guess, what would you say, like the 12th through the 17th century, but a lot of them didn't end until well into the 1800s.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got to put my hair up. All right. So the next one is yours.
The wheel.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and so if I get too far down it, y'all just
you're fine.
Bring me back. So the one thing when we started talking about this, because it was a requested topic for an episode, I had happened to find, and it's for free if you've got Audible. It's called The Hangman's Diary, and it's based on actual written historical happenings by the executioner Franz Schmidt.
That's good.
It's good. It's very analytical. There's not a whole lot of creative writing. It's pretty much an account of every execution that he did, how he did it, torture methods, what they were for, and things along that line. Now, he did operate in Nuremberg and the surrounding areas. He was the lead executioner for 40 to 45 years. Nuremberg, believe it or not, was accused by the other local regions of being really too soft on criminals. Believe it or not, but his like what he normally used was either the wheel or hanging, drowning, or beheading. Now, Franz, or also went by Master Franz Schmidt. He was an executioner in Hof from 1573 until 1578. The weird thing about executioners is though he did inherit this trade from his father started out as a woodsman, and he was pretty much forced at the time by local barons and things like that to take on this profession. And this type of profession is considered kind of a lowly profession. You can't go to church, you can't take sacrament. There's a lot of things that you cannot do when you have the job of an executioner. Now, Franz Schmidt was actually one of the only recorded that they know of in such depth to actually win his place back in society, because he was very lawful. If you think of like a paladin or something, like, he was very lawful good. So I actually like this guy for the time that he lived in. He didn't like to see people suffer if the crime did not fit the punishment. He was really big on that. He was also a healer. Like, when he wasn't executing people, he had a lot, like up to 15,000 people over his lifetime as a healer that would come to him for prescriptions and healing and things like that. He would even dissect some of these criminals afterwards to learn more about the body. So he was very learned, I guess, at the time. During that time, just to be able to read and write was considered kind of a big deal. But if it was a woman, that usually they would drown a woman, or they would hang a woman. 9 times out of 10, you'll listen to the diary, at least on Audible, and it will list that he beheaded someone as a favor because it was the least painful way to go. And so a lot of times he would do that for like younger thieves, which the only one that I've heard of was like 13. I didn't hear. Yeah. But mostly women and things like that, or if he believed that the punishment did not really fit the crime. Because like I said, you could pretty much be executed for, let's see, thievery, continued prostitution, pretending, like stealing seals from local barons, like that kind of thing, pretending to be someone you're not, copying money, And then, of course, murder and things like that. And there was a lot of it. Now, he did break people on the wheel, and there's a difference between being broken on the wheel and being broken by the wheel.
Mhm.
Now, broken on the wheel would entail that they would take a sledge of some sort, and they would break the prescribed bones. So if it was a bad enough offense to where you found yourself on the wheel, you may or may not necessarily be executed afterwards. You may be left there to suffer. You may be at the very end beheaded. You could be burned on the wheel. But basically, being broken on the wheel is they would take a sledge and whatever the judge prescribed, they would break those bones.
Mhm.
If it was really bad, and they would break the bones and then they would weave you into the wheel, because you are now boneless. So, being broken on the wheel or by the wheel, the wheel had like a sharp edge around it, and they would literally strap you to the wheel and roll you around
Yeah.
and let the wheel do its damage, or they would drop the wheel on your shins.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was one that I found, and I'm going to say trigger warning because this does involve children. So, in one of his accounts in 1577, Franz Schmidt recorded it was his 22nd execution by a gentleman by the name of Nikolaus Stewer. Now, he was also known as, and I'm not pulling your leg, as Schwartz Cracker. So
Hi.
now,
I am,
along with Schwartz Cracker,
I am
he had
Schwarz-
two accomplices.
I am here to break your sins.
I am here to do awful things to you.
I am here to do awful things to you. I will heal you, though I will heal your family afterwards because I am very much a healer. But that is only to learn how to kill you better.
So Schwartz Cracker was accused of killing 8 people. For the most part, a large majority of them were women, pregnant women. His accomplices were 2 sisters by the name of Fila and Gurgla Sterna. Gurgla Sterna.
Was she a hooker?
Was she a what?
Was she a hooker? A lot of
So,
gurgles.
I'm not a gurgler.
in some really atrocious crimes, he will go into a bit of depth on why he had no problem making sure that the torture and the execution of this particular person or group of persons, why he did it. Because he didn't really like hurting people, I don't believe, just based on his diary, but he understood the necessity of it. And he was, like I said, very lawful. So what Schwarzcracker and his 2 accomplices were accused of is, in 3 separate occasions, he cut open 3 different pregnant women while they were still alive.
Oh my
Now,
god.
Gurgla stated that the mothers, based on what Schwarzcracker says, is that Schwarzcracker believed the mothers had committed a great sin and that he would take the child from her belly to a priest to be baptized, but Thela said he himself would be the priest and baptize the babies and then take the child by the legs and dash them to the ground.
What the
Now, yeah. Now, his execution was very drawn out. He was drawn on a sledge, which is usually a flatbed cart, or sled, more like a sled, something you would pull something heavy with. The body was torn asunder by hot pincers, and then he was executed on the wheel. He was not given any type of final execution that would end his life. And in most cases, it's very rare that they find skeletal remains of someone that was broken on the wheel or broken by the wheel, because first of all, there's not a whole lot of their skeletal system that remains intact once the decomposition does its thing.
Mhm.
And so a lot of them were basically because they were left to the elements.
Mhm.
And in a lot of cases, the wheel was either raised above the gallows, or somewhere in the city. It would be raised on a pole. They would pretty much just animal life would eventually, just
Yeah.
carry them away. So,
So insane to think
but
about how
yeah.
like death was just put on display as as just so much
Well,
in the Dark
well,
Ages.
and that's the thing with like his diary. Like, if, like I said, if somebody did something really bad, maybe not. I mean, to this point, there were a lot of times they would cut off. They would do the drawn and quarter type thing, and then they would take the arms, legs, and head, and they would put the arms and the legs on the four corners of the gallows with the head sitting on top, and it would stay there.
Mhm.
It's insane.
One of the
Yeah.
things I found interesting in that book actually was when he was talking about that, a parent or somebody would get put into prison
Hmm.
and they would shackle their children with them into the cell.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like these kids didn't do jack shit.
I'm pretty sure they did. Just kidding.
Well, and the thing about it is I mean, back then, I mean, there was nobody to take care of the children unless the church stepped in, because any charity was
Oh,
normally handled by the church. And if the parents were accused of doing something unsavory or unclean, that the church could not abide, then I imagine they wouldn't want to do anything with the children either. But yeah, it was crazy. But to see, because, I think our normal conception of an executioner, and I'm sure there were quite a few, I would imagine that particular profession would probably attract a certain type of person, whether it be a sadist or a serial killer or, anything along those lines. Um, in this case, at least with Franz Schmidt, I mean, he didn't like doing this stuff unless he absolutely had to.
there was a lot of the American executioners and stuff, the hangmen. A
Hmm.
lot of them didn't enjoy it. It was just
Mm-mm.
a job, and
Yeah.
a lot of very few people wanted to do it. So the few people that did, they got paid a lot to go from city to or town to town or
Oh,
whatever.
they
What?
made good money. They
Yeah,
made real good money.
and especially to be humane about it in any which way they could, they would.
Mhm.
The best ones could snap the necks in a second. And those people were in
Right.
high demand because
And it wasn't abnormal. I mean, if you
yeah.
had, an executioner that botched too many, they would find themselves on the receiving end.
Oh yeah, because they're
So,
sitting there. You can imagine an axe coming down that wasn't sharp enough. You're having
yeah.
to do a triple wax, and that person is literally they're having convulsions in front of the entire crowd.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this was on display for people to see because it was considered entertainment too.
Well, and that's what's so weird. It's like everybody wants to see a good death, but nobody wants to see someone suffer.
Exactly, and
I
I
mean,
watched
it's kind
I
of
watched Saddam Hussein. I'm
oh
not
yeah,
gonna lie.
did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I watched when that happened. And it was really an interesting situation because it's like, okay, yeah, this is televised, but this is really what people used to gather for,
Yeah.
well,
was
I
to
mean, it
see
was like a
something like that.
festival.
in
Yeah.
his situation, they televised it to show that yes, he is dead.
Oh, I mean,
This is not just dumping him at sea like they did with Bin Laden and stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
no, I get it. And you know what? Not gonna lie, I cheered.
oh
But
yeah, he was a terrible fucking person.
like it was one of those moments where I watched it, I cheered,
Mhm.
but then I had that moment like, wow, like this is really what people back then really saw as
Yeah.
entertainment. And I really feel it does kind of lead into how we used to watch the wars just constantly streaming.
Mhm.
Like, what was it? Desert Storm, Desert Shield, all that kind of
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I'm one of those people that when this stuff starts up, I am watching it all the time because I can't stop.
Me too. I
Well,
can't.
look what we do here. Everything's true crime, everything's murder, everything's gore and like all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, and I think violence is just part of the human condition. You know, we've got a lot of good things as far as like human beings as a species that are part of our condition, but at the same time, we have a lot of really dark shit
you know
that's
what
part of the human condition too.
what's crazy is like I love my country. USA all the way. Yay. That was lame.
Did you just cheerlead?
Yes.
You forgot to be like, yeah.
I'm fat and clumsy. I will knock everything down right now. And I'm not doing it.
Look, we're doing little tiny cheers.
What I don't get though with America, and I've never understood it, is that we can show violence all the time, but we can't show titties. Like, I don't get it. I've never understood that. I'm like, oh, can't we just go ahead and show the sex along with the violence? Because the exploited said it best, sex and violence, right?
I'm sorry, I need to answer a question real fast.
So,
Mr. Giggles, I'm going to Jollibee. Does anyone want anything?
I do want Jollibees.
What is good there? I have never heard of that. So just pick me out whatever's good.
No, first off, explain what Jollibees is.
Jollibee is a Filipino fast food restaurant.
And what do they do?
And they have spaghetti as a side dish.
No, I mean, what is their business model? What did they do exactly?
Well,
they took everything awesome.
They did. They have amazing fried chicken. They have palabok. They have spaghetti as a side. They have some great drinks that I love. They have some pies that have like jackfruit and stuff like that in it.
Yes, I want a pie. So, I will take a piece of pie.
What Jollibees did, they went basically and they were like, okay, we're going to take some stuff from KFC. We're going to take some stuff from McDonald's. We're going to take some stuff from over here and we're going to make it awesome. And that's what they did. And then they also have Filipino food. So,
okay, we have like 40 comments. And since I got to one and we're about 40 minutes in, let's say hi.
All right.
Wolfman laughing. What's up, Batman? How you doing? All right. Kisa said hello. Hello. So, Alan says, I'm sorry, Batman. One movie that really got me was about this lady who developed dementia, and the movie was called I Am Still Alice. It was a really good movie. Nearly made me cry. Okay.
I hate to say this, but I was like, was it called what?
I Am Still Alice.
No, the movie's called what? As in, like, they don't remember. Fuck, I messed up.
Raven said it was a great movie.
I'm sorry, guys.
See, that's like that. What was the one that Jim Carrey was in that was so good? Sunshine for
Eternal Mind.
Oh my God, that was so
I have still not seen that. I've heard everyone say that they love it.
Wait, wasn't that
makes you cry at the end?
Williams?
No, that's Jim Carrey.
Eternal Sunshine?
Sunset or Sunshine in the Eternal.
I think it's Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine in
a Spotless Mind for something.
Yeah, Eternal Sunshine and a Spotless Mind, but
his other movie, his first.
What was the one that was similar to that like name that Robin Williams was in?
I don't know.
Anywho,
his other one that he did was really good. Was
you're talking about What Dreams May Come?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a real good one.
Did you know that movie? Okay, so I can't think of the author's name, but he's also the one who wrote I Am Legend. Like, what is his name? I'll look it up here in a second. But yeah, he wrote I Am Legend and then wrote Dreams May Come. And it was like two opposite sides of the spectrum, and he hit it on the park on both of them.
I believe that Batman here is referring to the Judas Cradle. If you're gonna do that to me, firstly, wine and dine me.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Slap my ass before I get on it too. Come on now.
I'm sure they had people lined up next.
Well, you know, the thing that I was reading about, at least in the area of Nuremberg, even though there's a place that you can go, I think in the Nuremberg Tower or Clock Tower or in the basement, they've got like a torture museum. And one of the implements that they have is the Iron Maiden. But do you know at least in that area, the Iron Maiden really, even though it's a super popular,
It was really
almost like iconography for that
yeah.
time, it was very rarely, if at all, used.
Yeah.
Because it was so big and it was so bulky.
I heard it was more of a symbol.
I heard a lot of people who go and see that particular Iron Maiden that they have a fear of the dark somehow. Like, it's weird.
Huh. Are they scared of little pointy objects too?
Do they have a constant fear that someone's always there?
They have the mark of the beast.
And their name's Eddie.
Yeah. A lot of them are named Eddie when they go see that Iron Maiden. I almost got you on, Mother.
It's like, wait a minute. I feel somebody pulling my leg.
Spanish Inquisition was fun. Burn all heretics.
Right?
Watermelon. Okay. Maybe what instead of a pineapple?
You know what's funny? So we have a side group with some of the fans and everything that's here. And last night I was laying down. I think it was when I was texting you, Odd Mother, and then all of a sudden, Aki is like looking stuff up, and I was like, "Why are you on Xvids?" She's all, Kisa's sending me stuff, and I was like,
"What?
Wait, are you saying Kisa's down?"
No.
And then also I was like, "Oh, it's in the private group. Never mind."
Yeah, we've. Hey, look, I've got to tell you, we've got a really cool little brain think tank over there. You know what I'm saying?
It's a brain trust.
It is. It's a great brain trust.
And like the stuff, it was supposed to be like a joke video or something, but somehow it kept going to Xvids. It was like we were like, "What's going on here?" And like it kept getting resent, and we're like, "Okay, well, we're just gonna watch porn now."
Y'all went down the rabbit hole.
We're here.
Batman, come join in. Everybody line up, get your butt ready. We're about to experience a whole new form of examination.
Exactly.
I can't sing it, but the Inquisition, look out, sin. And then, of course,
laughing. So the Judas cradle, where was that most used? Was there a particular region of not the body?
I was waiting. I knew it. I was like,
not the body.
I was like, let her set it up, and then I'm
in my notes, I never wrote it down.
Okay. It sounds French.
French. We are the French. We are the French Revolution. French Revolution.
It doesn't really say the locale.
Spanish, English.
But I mean, they're saying that it was probably an invention by. Oh, I'm sorry. It was an Italian invention.
I knew it.
Italian.
Ippolito Marsili.
And then it gave birth to Mussolini.
Ippolito Marsili was a lawyer who documented various torture documents or methods as well, but it was created by him.
Look, wow. Country that literally invented fascism to have a device that is meant to go up your ass to kill you,
or leave it to a lawyer to screw you,
right?
But
so. It's true.
Hey, I'm innocent, right? Yeah, totally innocent.
Come sit on this chair, this nice, comfy chair.
And here's some lube.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
What's the movie that'll make a guy cry? I was like, Endgame.
What's a movie?
I Love You 3000.
Oh,
yeah. Oh my God, Endgame.
I was like, but that makes me cry too.
Yeah.
So
Spider-Man dying was one thing, but then when I saw Iron Man die, I was like, it's like it just clicked. I was like, fuck you, Disney, for making me so attached to this character without knowing I was attached to this character. I watched every one of the MCU movies up until that point, and then I was like, I thought back, I was like, the reason why I was like not really worried for any superhero there was because I kept thinking the Avengers are somewhere, and they made them pop up here and there. And I was like, yeah, the Avengers are here. And then I was like, Tony Stark, he's always around to help out. And then all of a sudden he gives his life, and I was bawling my eyes out. I was all screaming, making me feel my feels.
We watched at home. We'd already seen it in theaters, and we were watching it at home. And his mom is just playing her games on her phone and her tablet and whatever. And
I haven't cried in front of my mom during a movie since Son of Godzilla, and I was bawling my fucking eyes out. I couldn't even finish it.
She looks over, and we are both sobbing.
I was like, Tony.
And she's all, wait, what? What's going on? I was like, you aren't even paying attention.
No, and then it gets to the part like
you're really asking what's going on.
We finally stopped and we're watching the rest of the movie, and it gets to the part like 20 minutes later when he gets to the part where it's like,
your dad likes cheeseburgers too.
Yeah, and I was all, oh no.
Actually, I think that part is the one that broke me the most. Was your dad likes cheeseburgers too.
Do you know the reason why that was put in that? So the whole cheeseburger thing, like him wanting Burger King, that is where Robert Downey Jr. I was about to say Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. Decided to get sober. He realized he hit rock bottom, and he's like, I'm done. And it was a Burger King. That's why they put it in Iron Man, and that's why it was he kept wanting cheeseburgers throughout it.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Rob says, my favorite people are on. Good to see everybody. Good to see you too, man. Batman says, what I would do is I would use reverse psychology and say something like, oh, I can't wait to try that. I tried the last one last month. It was good, but this one looks so fucking good. Oh, I can't wait to try it.
You know what they probably say? Put this poor fucker on first. He wants to really bad.
In the Middle East, if a man raped a young woman and she wasn't married and stuff, from what I understand, the punishment was the woman's breast would be removed and the man's penis would be cut off.
Wait, what?
I was about to get us banned.
I'm pretty sure that the women were actually stoned to death, and not but the bad kind. But yeah, there's William Wallace torture. Yeah.
Pull his guts out, and then he screams freedom, and Vice runs through the woods
with a sword. Somebody gave her a sword
with a kilt and a claymore on, and her face painted blue, running to save William Wallace.
Dude, that sword is way taller than me.
The claymore?
Yeah.
I think they're like 5 feet tall. Yeah. So you're like 3 apples high. So it's like 17 apples compared to you.
That sword was huge. I got to see a picture of it. I was sent a picture of it that's in the museum over there. And I was just looking at it like, whoa, that's huge. The size of the man that had to be holding.
I was going to say, could you imagine? And successfully wield it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge sword, small penis.
I kind of doubt that.
I'm kidding.
With how tall William Wallace was. Woo! I mean, I hope he didn't have he wasn't hung like a gerbil or something.
Gerbil's size ratio. It'd be just 3 times his body size. That's
okay. Maybe I hope he was. I don't know. The man's dead. Let's respect him and his penis. I don't know.
You said it. Always eating your penis-shaped foods and stuff.
All my penis-shaped foods, man.
I thought you froze for a second, Odd Mother.
No, I just happened across something. Anyway, go ahead.
Did you Google it?
No, it's something completely different. Serial killer Richard Kuklinski?
Kuklinski!
Yes. The Iceman.
Oh my gosh, he did something. Ooh.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, that's a brutal. I'd
like to refilm.
I've read a lot of stuff on Kuklinski ever since I heard the last podcast and left episode on him, or the 3-part episode on him, and they did an amazing job. And it was hilarious and everything, and it was good. And then everything about this guy, dude, he is He is the sociopath of sociopaths. Like I would dare say, even more so than
He's the boogeyman of boogeyman.
Yes.
We have like 40 comments
Sorry.
to get to.
Okay.
Kisa says, "I'd like to refill my time in the Iron Maiden." Nadine said, "We had to learn the difference at the haunted house. Things are hung, people are hanged."
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some people who are hung, but
Hi. How you doing?
Yeah, but do you normally find them in haunted houses?
how nice.
How nice. Very German.
That still works. But the very German, I forget what that was towards. I pulled it up while you were saying something, but it was when we were talking about the executioner.
Okay.
Everything that doesn't make stains.
So did they have a sexecutioner back in the Dark Ages? That would
Only
be
Guar.
That would be. Oh, they did. That's right.
Excuse me, please. But what good is all the violence without unlimited sex?
You know what they did have a lot back in the Dark Ages? Slyminstrahymens.
Slyminstrahymen.
I pluralized it. Come on, don't leave me hanging there, dog. Dog.
He had to repair if he got him. Wait, when you're talking about healing, he had to repair if he got them to question his victim. What?
No. Look, there have been very few, if any, that have ever like gotten better if they survive the wheel.
Hey,
when you said that they weaved them,
there's might have been one or two.
They weave them.
Unbelievable.
When you become a boneless person, you are then weaved into the wheel.
And it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
There are some people.
No wonder he was
none of them
pissed.
none of them got better. They kind of might have been like one or two that maintained.
I got
it's like I'm not dead yet.
That's pretty much what it was.
She turned me into a newt. I got better. I don't know who the fuck this is putting up weird squid people, but fucking roots bleed red, man. What the hell? Jeez. Okay. Mr. Giggles! Hello, good sir. Trying to get that down. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Are we caught up?
Nope, not quite.
We're almost caught up.
We're almost caught up. Jollibee, tits and violence.
Yes, tits and violence.
Sex and violence, sex and violence, sex and violence, sex and violence. Okay. There's something that's called the coward's death where you drown in a tub of wine.
That's not a coward's death.
I feel like that's a pretty rad death if you're gonna have to drown.
That's a very Roman death. That probably happened in Rome in like 2000 BCE or something like that. just one of the Roman orgies just pour it all over me and I'll just drown in it. Yes. Have sex in front of me.
Fucking Mr. Giggles, I want to be like Mike Giggs. Are we gonna get giggles and gigs in here? We're gonna do this again? Love Maiden. I've got an Eddie tattoo. I'm jealous. I want an Eddie tattoo.
It'd be awesome.
I heard tights.
Hard tights. Oh.
I heard tatties. Titties. Can't talk about what was said. I'd be in Facebook jail. Usually the dungeons.
I was talking about the chat.
Let's see. Armageddon with Bruce Willis. My husband cried. Hey, you know what? That was a good scene.
Which one?
Hey, Ash.
Which scene was it?
Oh, when he stays on the
take care of my daughter.
Yeah, when he stays behind.
Yeah, that was a sad scene.
That was
the whole especially or was it Aerosmith? That's what it was. I had that sang to me by my ex-girlfriend in high school. She sang it to me in front of the garage. And I was like, I really like you. I don't know how much I like you at this moment, but I like you. I just had to grin and bear it. And she's if she's ever listening to this, she's gonna be like, seriously, dude.
That was an interesting subject to walk in on. Yeah, right. Hey, don't judge size based off height. I've seen some tiny members on some very tall people. Yes, executioner. Guar. Excuse me,
G-war.
please. The only movie that made me cry was Stepmom. I don't think I've seen it.
Which one's Stepmom?
I haven't seen it. I'll have to go look it up.
I know Mommy Dearest made me cry.
Oh, that reminds me of the old. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the old 70s Sybil.
Hangers.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. It made me that's a sad one.
Oh man.
You know what movie still makes me cry, even though I know it back and forth? SLC Punk.
That one does.
Yeah.
Every time Heroin Bob dies, I
Yeah.
bawl like a little baby. He turned around. He was like, "You knew this was happening." I'm hugging a pillow. I was like,
Does it make it any better just because I know?
That is,
"You know this is happening," and I'm just like hugging a pillow and crying.
it's a sad moment, man. Like how many times, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, like all of us had issues, or not issues, but had to deal with friends who had died. Like not deal with them, but deal with their deaths because
Yeah.
Because of something stupid.
yeah.
Something small, well, not small, but something seemingly small that just like that was it. They're
That part,
gone.
Yep.
hits home for all of us right here because it's
Oh, yeah.
seriously, and the metal scene and the punk scene, it's like rampant, you know.
Yeah, and it was just there one day and something
Oh yeah.
silly and gone the next.
We had a buddy. His name was Corey, and my other buddy, he was telling me a story when we first hung out, and like how Corey like literally got so wasted one night that he stood up, like they were sleeping in his room, like it was in high school, and he stood up in his own bed, was completely out of it, and just turned around and started peeing in his bed, laid back down in it, and they were like, "What the fuck do we do now?" And they just like they were like, "Okay, we're not doing this." Well, the guy from early age on like was just a drunk and everything like that. He was a good dude, but it was in his 30s. It was right when I got my first Facebook page. It was like in 2010, and I was talking to him on Facebook, and then I was talking to my other buddy, and he's like, "Dude, Corey died last night," and I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, he got way too drunk and vomited in his sleep and aspirated into his lungs. And I was like, "Oh, why did we?" I was like, "We saw it coming too," and it's just we didn't know. We saw it happening, not that it was coming, but it was just like we're like, because
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then to make it funny here, the episode of
to lighten the mood here, guys.
I mean the same movie, SLC Punk, when he goes running away from the security guards and all the tabs of acid go into his leg because he went through the sprinklers, and everyone's like, "Where's Steve?" And he's just sitting there on a stool. "How are you doing that, man?
I need to watch that movie again. I've got it on DVD.
How are you walking on water? Are you Jesus?"
The sequel is really, really good.
It actually is.
You could tell Matthew.
I never saw the sequel.
It's 20 years later, so it's based actually in 2005. And it's with it was actually, it's Heroin Bob's son, and Heroin Bob is actually narrating from the grave and stuff like that. But you could tell there's another part in there with I can't think of his name, the guy who played with the tabs of acid.
Steve.
He goes on to become a senator, and you could tell with that part, it was a good part that he played, but you could tell it was Matthew Lillard, and Matthew Lillard didn't sign on for the second one,
right?
But it was still a good. He still did a good job with the acting and all that stuff. So
I was wary of the movie because I was like, you can't fuck with the cult classic like this. Right. And then it was actually pretty good.
It was good. It was a good standoff. You know, it was a good like the scene coming of age and stuff like that. The hipster dude who gave Heroin Bob the pills, he became he took off to Norway.
No, it was a girl. The girl.
I'm sorry, his
pills.
girlfriend did. The hipster's girlfriend. He took off to Norway and ditches the whole punk scene and becomes a huge black metal guy. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I knew it. And like, and he was the one who was like making the most sense through the movie too. And he was like really like kind of voice of reason in there too. It was neat to see them all grow up, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, now back to torture.
Back to torture.
Do you want to read about Kuklinski first, or I got a short one here?
Okay.
Kuklinski.
Well,
Kuklinski.
Kukinski.
yeah, I mean, if Akia's done, I can.
Well, I was gonna talk about where did it go?
I was gonna say this. What I got to read right here kind of goes into the Iceman because I can't say his last name.
Kuklinski.
There you go.
Kuklinski.
Well, I wanted to talk about the rats.
Oh yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Okay.
Well, so immurement, not to be confused with buried alive, involves the entombing of an individual inside of a wall or confined space. And it basically
Oh, love that.
yeah, right? The cask of the Amontillado. So basically literally put an individual inside of a wall without any means of exit, often but not always used as a method of execution. The prisoner is left for an indefinite period of time to suffer from starvation and dehydration while trapped in isolation and darkness. Appearing in civilizations around the world, two primary purposes recur as the motivations behind the practice: human sacrifice and criminal punishment. Regarding the latter, it has been claimed that the Vestal Virgins of Rome faced immurement should they break their vows of chastity as a trial by ordeal to prove devotion. More commonly appearing as a form of human sacrifice, however, many civilizations employed immurement as part of funerary rituals. Living persons, either willingly or forced as part of entombed chattel, were frequently buried alongside deceased people of status known to have occurred as early as 2500 BCE, with archaeological evidence in the Sumerian city of Ur depicting the practice. It was also prominently featured from early imperial China, transmitted to the funerary rites of the Mongol Khans during the 13th and 14th centuries.
Jesus Christ, they're hardcore, man.
These great conquerors were reportedly buried alongside more than dozens of slaves.
Holy shit, Mongols are fucking Mongols. Sorry, not Mongrel.
Mongols?
Mongols, there you go. They were fucking hardcore.
Golden Horde.
We're going to take all of our slaves with us, and we're going to be buried alive.
Well, the Egyptians did that a lot too.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. This is where, so I kind of went to one and then right into another.
Oh.
So, scaphism requires the victim to be trapped within boats coated in milk and honey and gradually
this is a bad one.
by vermin over a course of weeks.
Your pretty face is going to hell.
Yes.
Where they went to the convention.
Yes.
And yeah, I was like,
Is that the one where they put the milk and honey, make them drink it, and also put it up their rear so that it attracts bugs and
and then they just put them out in a boat.
in a boat. Yeah, it's supposed to be like one of the worst ways to go.
You're sitting there for days on end, just being eaten to death by bugs, and you're in the elements too.
So there's variations of this. There's Persian ones. There's Chinese versions of this. This one that I'm talking about right now is a torture and execution method from Persian, and history. So, trapping a condemned prisoner, the individual will be force-fed milk and honey, as well as coated in the foodstuffs. That's what it's
foodstuffs.
I imagine it's really good for your skin at first,
right?
The foodstuffs.
All the food,
the milk and honey. Yeah,
it's probably.
I actually do put that kind of stuff in my masks, but I use soy milk.
Yeah.
Attracting bugs and vermin whilst also inducing diarrhea.
I'm sorry, God.
To lure additional parasites, the victim would gradually be consumed by the animals as they fed upon them. Originally described in, Plutarch's Life of Artaxerxes II.
Huh.
The first recorded, if challenged, use of scaphism was against a Persian soldier named Mithridates in 401 BCE, decreeing that Mithridates. I'm going to call him Mazethra, like the cheese.
There you go.
Mozzarella. Call him
Mozzarella.
Should be put to death in boats. 2 were framed exactly to fit his body to prevent escape. Thereafter, his head and hands and feet were left outside the boats, whilst the remainder of his body was contained within the floating prison. Forced to eat under pain of physical torture, he was drenched with a mixture of milk and honey. Gradually, his body was consumed after 17 days of being eaten from both within and without of the boat.
You know, with how lactose intolerant they were probably back then, yeah, the diarrhea would probably kill him alone.
Well, I imagine there was no...
Well, I mean, and I imagine afterwards you're like, well, this boat ain't worth shit no more.
Could you imagine?
Can't use this for nothing.
This is the time where if you got diarrhea, you died. Like,
oh yeah,
if you ever got diarrhea back then, you were dead because there was no stopping it.
Where is my note on the rats? Like rats.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought I had it up there. It's another page. It should.
It's not.
Huh.
So this is still not what I'm looking for. Anyway,
I've got it pulled up.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
You
cool.
got it. Go for it. Because
Yeah.
my understanding was that they would hold them down and cut them and pour things on them to lure the rats there and then let the rats just eat them alive.
That's part.
Yeah,
of it.
there were different ways to do it. It's referred to as the Rats Dungeon or Dungeons of Rats. It was a main feature of torture for the Tower of London, alleged by the Roman Catholic during the Elizabethan era. Wow. A cell below high water mark and totally dark will draw in rats from the River Thames as the tide flowed. It must have been written, but apparently it was a feature of the Tower of London. Prisoners would have their alarm excited. In some instances, have flesh torn from their arms and legs. So I'm assuming they would be tied. Now, during the Dutch Revolution, a man by the name of Derek Sonoy, who was an ally of William the Silent, and I don't know why I find that so funny, is documented to have used a method. Now, this is the kind I've heard of before, where a pottery bowl would be filled with rats and placed open side down on the naked body of the prisoner. Then hot charcoals were piled on the closed end of the bowl, which would basically cause the inside of the pot to heat up, and the rats would gnaw through the very bowels of the victim in an attempt to escape the heat. Rat torture appears in famous case studies of Sigmund Freud.
Freud.
He was a fraud.
And rat torture was used by several South American military dictatorships in Brazil during the military dictatorship of 1964 to 1985, in Uruguay during the civil military dictatorship of 1973 to 1985, and in Chile during the dictatorship of Pinochet, which was 1973 to 1990. It was used in Argentina during the period of natural reorganization process, 1976 to 1983.
That's where the Germans went too.
Yeah, and then serial killer Richard Kukulski alleged in a series of interviews that one of his preferred methods of murder was to tie up a victim, leave them in a cave overnight so they could be eaten alive by rats. He would also leave a Super 8 camera in the cave to film the event.
And this is so the thing that they left out there with like Kuklinski on that. He actually had to train the rats. So what he would do, he found that cave, more than likely hiding a body or something like that, or he was just out in the wood. He went over to that cave and he saw there was a lot of rats in there. So he kept going back to the cave and throwing meat in there, just throwing meats and like whatever, like chunks of meat he can get from the butcher, and kept So when he would come up, they would know to start coming out even more. And then that's when with that body, and I think he did it with the guy alive too. Is that what they said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would want to tape it. Yeah.
Yeah, he would just throw them in there, and the rats would just come in there because he would probably cut them up a little bit, and they would just start tearing them apart.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about is actually called Ling Chi.
Ling Chi?
And yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of idea.
Okay.
It involved tying the condemned prisoner to a wooden frame, usually in a public place. The flesh was then cut from the body in multiple slices. And
they were flayed.
Yep, they were flayed.
Ooh.
Punishment worked on 3 levels as a form of public humiliation, and a slow and lingering death, as well as punishment after death, because it would be seen as shame.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would, trying to find where I had all my notes here. They would then expose them to vermin and rats. So on top of it, they'd be flayed alive, and then they'd be eaten. So yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Like eaten by their jailers, or like
yes, totally by their jailers.
Okay. Well, I mean,
rats!
They did flay them
by the rat.
I mean, it probably did happen a couple times because they did take chunks of them.
All I could think of now is that song by Ghost.
Rats. Well, I guess it depends on what your intention was. Do you want them to suffer longer by just being eaten alive, or shut? Like, I don't know. I think, honestly, I would rather be eaten alive than to have rats burrow through my chest.
What?
True.
At least I could go out fighting and squishing a couple of rats on my way out.
That's insane to think about. like just the sheer claustrophobia of it. Think about it.
Ugh.
Like you are held down and you can't move, and there is a whole bunch of rats on your chest with a clay pot holding them there with hot coals on top of it, and they are digging through you, and you cannot move.
Yeah, because you're probably most likely tied to like a rail or something.
I guess since I'm the Sicilian one here, I will talk about the Roman candle.
The Roman.
Oh my God! Okay, I've never heard of this one.
So the Roman candle, from which the popular firework is allegedly named. It was
Remember that next New Year's Eve.
They learn
or 4th of July.
Out of their penises.
It was originally a torture mechanism whereby Christians were set ablaze for the amusement of Emperor Nero.
Holy fuck.
In the year 64 of the Common Era, the Great Fire of Rome devastated large parts of the imperial city, facing blame for both causing the blaze and providing inadequate response to the inferno, which caused widespread damage to 10 of Rome's 14 districts. Emperor Nero blamed the fiery outbreak on religious minorities, including early Christians. Among the alleged cruelties bestowed upon these religious minorities was the Roman candle. Using humans are the base substance akin to the wax foundations of a candle. These victims were tied to a stake in the imperial garden for the amusement of Nero. There, the prisoners suffered being coated in pitch, oil, and other flammable substances before being set afire.
Holy shit.
I
just thought it was a fun name.
Ultimately, fatal fires were started from the feet in order to prolong the suffering for the condemned. It's been suggested, without any corroboration, that these candles were used as decorations during formal parties held by Nero.
Fucking brutal.
Nevertheless, the ancient candle signifies the first organized persecution of Christians under the Romans. Today, the term Roman candle refers to a type of Chinese firework that became popular in Western Europe during the Italian Renaissance.
Oh, both of them, huh? Both times. Come on now. They named it after that.
I have another fun one. But
What?
Odd Mother, what do you have? Because I have keel hauling.
Kill hauling. Yeah, I don't have that one. I was looking at the scavenger's daughter.
Oh, go ahead. I was looking at that one. Go ahead. You got it.
So the scavenger's daughter was invented by
medieval.
and named after a Brit named Skevington. It is alternately referred to as Skelfington's Grivies. The apparatus consists of a hoop of iron with a hitch in the middle. The victim was forced to crouch on one half of the hoop while the other half was pivoted and placed over his back. Imagine being placed into a giant set of iron dentures, basically. The
Yeah.
torturer would use a screw to tighten the hinge, crushing the victim further and further into its involuntary crouch. Eventually, ribs, breastbones would crack and the spine would be dislocated.
Oof.
Sometimes the compression was so great that blood would gush from the fingertips and face. You could call it the opposite of the rack, since the body was compressed rather than pulled apart by this tool.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It was like a huge like table. Just
Yeah.
and then like just splat. That was it.
Why
There was-
am I imagining like one of those beds that just
Pretty
from a horror
much.
movie? From a,
But I
There's
don't think
one-
it went that fast.
No, it didn't. They got you in that crouch position pretty fast, but from there compressing you, that took a minute.
never get stuck in a Murphy bed, okay?
Pretty much.
So some of you may know what keel hauling is.
I know what the band is, or song is from
Keel
Ailstorm.
haul that filthy landlubber, send him down to the depths below. Make that bastard walk the plank with a bottle of rum and a yo ho ho.
Ho, ho.
It's before we get into this, you have to understand how many barnacles and how much messed up stuff is on the bottom
I
of
was
of a boat.
gonna
So yeah, go ahead.
mention that.
Yeah.
So keel hauling involved dragging a sailor under the bottom of a ship, often repeatedly, as they struggled to hold their breath and survive the wounds that were inflicted. So keel hauling takes its name from the Dutch keelhalen, meaning to drag along the keel. It was a torturous punishment inflicted upon sailors whilst at sea. The sailor would be tied to a rope that encircled the underside of the ship, whereupon being thrown overboard, they would be dragged underneath the ship and along the keel to emerge on the other side. Due to the physical harm suffered as a result of the keel hauling, with the hull of the ship being covered in barnacles, the victim would suffer immense
Those things are sharp.
Yeah.
which would result in infections and cuts, likely leading to their eventual death if they didn't drown.
The pain of it from the salt water. Think about that.
Oh my God, yeah. So it's unclear whether keel hauling was a common practice during the ancient world. References to a similar punishment for piracy existed in the Rodane Maritime Code, dating from 700 CE. But it wasn't until the early modern period that keel hauling entered into prominence. Several English writers during the 17th century recorded keel hauling on naval ships. However, there remains no formal note of these actions on ship logs. Keel hauling was an official punishment in the Dutch Navy, although only rarely enforced due to its harsh nature. It should be noted that, nevertheless, the Dutch did not intend the practice to be fatal and allowed for reprises and the torture to recover.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but you just die from drowning.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking. I mean, if the boat was big enough to have barnacles all over the bottom of it,
Yeah.
You're probably gonna drown.
Yeah. Exactly.
What did it say? Oops, we didn't mean it to be that dangerous.
Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Which one do you want to get to next?
I figure we just do one more. And
Because there is flaying.
do you have any more, Odd Mother?
I have the breast ripper.
Oh, that's what
I
we should do.
skipped that one too. Do it.
That's what we're doing next. The
The breast
whipper.
ripper.
Do they have
Surprisingly few torturers had any reservations about torturing women. In fact, women-only torturers often seemed especially cruel and were designed to destroy specific aspects of femininity. In medieval England, differing torture practices were virtually codified. Male criminals were hanged while women faced the drowning pits. The practice of torturing women sexually extends back to Roman times and surely even before then. Female victims were given to soldiers to be raped and sent to brothels. They might be tied up and paraded through public streets naked. These public humiliations were sometimes followed by bizarre sexual mutilations. Torturers had a strange fixation on women's breasts, which were either burned, branded, or simply amputated. Worst of all was the device known as the breast ripper. It was a metal claw that pierced the flesh of the breast. The victim was tied to a wall, and when the claw pulled forcibly away, shredding the breast into pieces. It was used as both a method of punishment and interrogation to mark the breast of unmarried mothers and mutilated women convicted of heresy, adultery, and a host of other crimes.
So what you're saying is Clive Barker is a time traveler, and he went back in time, gave them the hellbound heart, and was like, "Hey, here you go."
I have two more.
You have two more.
Two more. So one of them. Oh, wait. This one.
There's so many to choose from.
I mean, there's crucifixion.
But we all know about that.
We know what that
is. Every American knows what crucifixion is.
Premature
burial. Flaying.
Flaying. Oh God, flaying is like ugh.
Let's do flaying.
Do flaying.
Okay, so
sorry, I was doing the Manson dance there for a minute.
Yeah.
Flaying excruciatingly removed the skin of the victim, exposing the tender nerves and blood vessels beneath the outside of the epidermis.
You guys want a good look?
Leading to immense pain and probable death by infection.
You guys want a good look at what it
not to mention shock.
Yeah.
What flaying is? Go watch the French version of Martyrs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is a brutal movie, and if you can get through it without stopping it, you are seriously a god.
I could probably do it.
Oh no, I did it. But it was brutal. It was hard.
So flaying is also known as skinning. It's a method of torture and, well, execution, whereby the skin of the victim is gradually removed from the body in a precise fashion. Whilst flaying...
And it usually takes hours.
Mm-hmm. Flaying after death has been historically recorded, typically as a means of debasing the enemy's honor and reserved for instances such as criminality. The predominant occurrences took place during life. Small-scale flaying, although painful, is endurable. Large-scale flaying or skinning inevitably led to death. If the individual survives the initial shock and avoids critical loss of blood during the torture, then they are likely to die days later due to infection.
Yeah.
The practice of flaying was popularized under the Neo-Assyrian Empire during the 9th century BCE, with carvings dating to the reign of, Ashurnasirpal. Not Ashurnasirpal. Okay, we're going to try that again. Ashurnasirpal.
One more time.
Did he come up earlier?
No, that was a different one.
No, he's about to come up and say his name one more time.
The second, depicting the gruesome details, royal edicts dating from the time of Ashurnasirpal II
here he comes.
glorified the deed, proclaiming, "I have clad the pillar in the flayed skins. I let the leaders of the conquered cities be flayed and clad the city walls with their skins." Ugh. Continuing in usage throughout medieval Europe, most commonly as part of the execution of traitors. Flaying became so popular in Imperial China that the Hongwu Emperor ordered the mass flaying of 5,000 women in 1396.
Fucking man.
Why?
I don't know. We could probably get into these more in detail at one point,
Holy crap. 5,000?
too. Mhm.
5,000.
Wow. Okay.
And, yeah, I mean, can you even imagine?
No.
That's some brutality right there. Why? You're going to get porn.
See, I'm liking Frank Schmidt more and more and more. He would just rather cut off everybody's head and let it be done with.
So, for the record,
So, okay.
there were reports that the Hongwu Emperor suspected his palace staff of unauthorized liaisons. Therefore, in a characteristic display of paranoia and brutality, he ordered the flaying of more than 5,000 palace servant girls and those
Oh my
eunuchs
God.
who were supposed to watch the gates.
Wow.
So he was just a paranoid person.
Oh, yeah.
He was just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So my last one that I have that Kisa sent
hmm
is the iron chair.
Ooh.
It's also known as the come on, I know this one. The MOLF.
The mouth.
No.
The
It's
MILF?
like
The
no.
MILF.
M
What about a
O
gilf?
O L F. MOLF.
Moof.
Yeah. And okay. Basically, it is like an Iron Maiden, but on the outside. Like the whole chair is covered in spikes.
Spiky pyramids, like small ones.
And it is a torture device that has several different variations depending on its origin, but it's used throughout history. It's also known as the Chinese torture chair, or simply the torture chair, or the MOLF. In all cases, the victim was seated on this chair, and there were several strips or plates of brass that were placed over an open flame and slowly would roast them
Wow.
alive.
Holy crap.
In other variations, the victim was tied to the iron chair and slowly pushed down on it and closer to the fire, to a blazing fire. Other versions had the addition of the spikes lining the back of the seat. And yeah, you would just be impaled, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So this was a torture device that was added to dungeons in the Middle Ages. It experienced its prime and popularity in Europe. The chair has, as we said, many different variations depending on the location that it was in, but it consisted of 500 to 1,500 spikes covering the entire chair, with a hole in the seat where the fire and the coal would be placed under. Basically, some of the crimes that it was used to punish would be like adultery, murder, and even witchcraft. It was used up until the late 1800s in Europe.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That long?
And so it was also used to instill fear in people, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And they would utilize it to extract confessions from people that they would make them watch other people being tortured in it. And if they did not, confess or whatever they needed to, from watching the other person get tortured, they themselves would be placed into the chair.
Wow.
So the iron chair lies primarily in the psychological fear caused on the victim.
Kind of the same as the Iron Maiden and something like that.
Yeah.
It is more psychological. Yeah, so the edible kicked in.
And you know what? I lied. There's one more. Because you cannot talk about torture devices without talking about the pair of anguish.
Ha ha! Vulva puller.
So this one was specifically created for women.
I'm pretty sure they could have used it on men too.
They did. Sometimes they stuck it up asses. It looked like a pear, and they would put it up into an orifice and gradually crank it, and it would start opening and spreading.
There was one called the mouth pea, which was for the mouth too.
Yes, yeah. So I'm looking for a better example here.
And it would open you up like a flower.
Like a pretty flower.
Like a pretty flower.
As they say in the porno business, a budding rose.
It was used against women who were accused of being, prostitutes and even witches. It was inserted into the victim's orifices. So, and also they would use it on men who were accused of being homosexuals. They would stick it in their anuses, and they would put it in the mouth for people who were liars or blasphemers.
Insane, man.
And they would just start screwing it, and it would open and open. And so it would break the jaw if it was put into somebody's mouth, and it would break other things if it was put into an ass or a vagina.
Yeah.
Spread you apart.
Yep.
Naked. It puts the lotion on.
And you know, a lot of these things were like invented by like kings and stuff. Like, I guess that's all they had. They had all this time to just sit around and figure out how they could make the lives of their subjects even worse.
It's insane.
Right? I mean,
what? I mean, not much difference has changed. It's still the same today. They just do it with taxes now. And
might
inflation.
As well have a pair of English.
I don't need to eat.
Wait, you only want some steaks tonight? Guess what? We made it more.
Try some of this lab created meat. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's cheap. Go ahead and have that.
Do you want to talk about one from Hammurabi?
I guess we have to now.
I was like, what is that?
So, a method of both torture and execution, impalement, consists of the aggressive penetration of victims by a pole, used most commonly as a punishment for crimes against the state, appearing in civilizations and cultures around the world as among the most harsh and mean of capital punishment. Contrary to immediate assumptions, impalement did not render a swift death.
No.
In fact, impalement, if done properly, permits the individual to survive for several days, with the longest known victim suffering for more than 8 days.
Insane.
Multiple methods exist to accomplish the violent feat, including transversal or longitudinal impalement, and bears striking similarities to bamboo torture. This was the torture choice of none other than Vlad Dracul Tepesh.
Tapashed.
Or Dracula.
Dracul. Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad the Impaler. Now I gotta go listen to that.
The Marshmallow King.
He just wanted to figure out how to get the right marshmallow.
Blah, I've impaled you on this spike and a marshmallow. And I shall eat you after I've put you to a flame.
Yeah, and you don't want to look up pole babies.
Oh, God.
I kind of...
For real. For real.
The origin of the torture dates to as early as ancient Babylon, with the Code of Hammurabi, circa 1772 BCE, detailing the punishment of impalement for women convicted of murdering her husband. A millennium later, the Neo-Assyrian king Sennacherib
that actually sounds about right.
Sennacherib, there we go, is recorded as impaling surviving Judeans after the siege of Lachish. Ironically, in a reversal of fortunes for the Babylonians, Darius I of Persia would later impale 3,000 of their own in vengeance, entering Europe and becoming a popular punishment for collaboration during the 30-Year War. Vlad III of Wallachia impaled 20,000 individuals earning him his immortality as Dracula. That's a good one to end it on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm about to fall asleep.
I mean, we can do another one soon because I mean we have things like the Blood Eagle. All kinds
there's
of
so
stuff.
many.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the hobby horse.
Yeah. Oh, the bull.
The
Not-
brazen bull.
Brazen bull.
The brazen bull. That's a bad one.
Oof.
Ooh,
But
that's
yeah,
a bad
guys,
That's it for tonight.
happy Halloween.
It's Halloween.
one. Happy Halloween. Oh, and Mother Delamort will be on tomorrow night, and we'll be talking about the boogeyman.
Yay.
Woo!
The boogeyman.
Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties with StreamYard last night, so I had to push my chit chat with Mad Butcher, Nicole DeLivet, and Stilts to, next Thursday. So that will be on November 2nd, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, and we'll be back here with You Can't Sit With Us in 2 weeks.
Oh, and guys, get your voting in before midnight tomorrow night, Pacific Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
So the voting ends tomorrow night at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So go ahead and vote for your favorite ghoul or ghosty up on the website. And we have gotten a ton of votes so far. I mean, a lot.
Oh, that's bad.
I mean, we got some great, like absolutely great submissions this year.
Yep.
We did, didn't we? We did. We got some great ones.
I mean, I just went and looked at them right now. They are fan-freaking-tastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, go on over there and vote. PsychoBuddyDC.com. Or you can even go to psychomantium13.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, we are out.
We're out.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Where's our outro?
Halloween.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.